Good evening to all.
Good evening.
Being safe and keeping everyone safe is very important in this pandemic time. The situation has changed our outlook, and frankly, many industries are changing their business models, the lookout, and it's not different for insurance industry also. With the faster digital transformation, frankly, my consulting experience, the amount of sales pitch I had to do for digital transformation in last 3 years, probably in last 8 months, I could mature them pretty fast. But that also created lots of challenges. Customers are becoming demanding. They want everything low touch, no touch. So customer retention is not the KPI for our customer engagement anymore. So this is an interesting time. And today we are here to discuss on leveraging cloud to drive the next phase of customer engagement. I will just give a brief thought on the topic, and then we'll go on a discussion mode. Frankly, that we are changing the whole aspects of how customers can be engaged. It's not really was in our radar even a couple of years back. The interactions are now omni-channel, and moreover, as the insurance customers are of long duration, a continuous interactions with them is very important. So if we can build a 360-degree view of the customers, if we can map customers' life journey digitally, then we'll have a complete different viewpoint on customer engagement, and we can go to the next level of customer engagement. And this needs a flexibility and agility in computing, which is what cloud computing is providing to us. And it's basically now an enabler for machine learning, big data analytics, understanding the journey of a customer, new persona creation. So our focus is on mainly personalized services, keeping the general outlook as it is. So it's basically understanding the risk and doing the dynamic risk modeling and thinking about machine learning or such tools which can be applied on the customer's data, and thus creating a highly personalized policies, and more so at a lower premium. So in this particular compute intensive algorithms which can be run on cloud computing infrastructure, and frankly cloud has graduated also. I mean, the way we were looking at it a few years back is only an infrastructure as service, which is basically making things all we have done capex to revex movement, cost cutting. But now we are seeing it is platform as service, software as service. The whole ecosystem of cloud computing apps are making things completely different. So the feasibility of having a customer's full life cycle mapping, 360-degree view, even doing a proper faster claim settlement, fraud analytics are now is quite easy because of the backbone of cloud. So cloud is basically doing a major candidature now to give us a different level of customer engagement. So I have a fantastic panel here. We'll hear from the panel about the use cases, their own experience on amplifying the customer engagement through cloud. I have with us Mr. Sivakumar Kunjithapatham, who is Chief Technology Officer, Grada Team IT Ventures India Private Limited. Mr. Tarun Mathur, Head of Strategy and Innovation, Edelweiss General Insurance. Dr. Ms. Punit Kaur Kohli, Chief Technology Officer, Universal Sompo General Insurance Company Limited. And Ashish Gupta, CTO, Max Bupa Health Insurance.
Hey everyone.
Hey, so let's start the discussion. Shiva, just to start with, if we try to understand how the customer engagement is changing and what are the use cases of cloud transformation as a strategy to enable a better engagement. What is your thought process on that? I mean, how you are taking up that?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dipankar. Okay, so let me take this question into two parts. Okay, first one, how the customer engagement is changing. Okay, the biggest factor what we are seeing is simply this: customers want better understanding of their insurance policies, and they want to become more involved with their insurance policies. If you consider, if I want to take an insurance policy at the moment, there are so many terms and conditions. Now, customer actually wants to pick and choose. You know, he wants to create a product on the fly, and you know, he wants to say the product requirement for a customer is becoming. We have seen customers wherein, you know, so many benefits in a policy he needs to select in each and every one. So we are seeing an engagement journey going very deep into the understanding the policy itself. Okay, why do we say this? Every insurance process, from marketing to underwriting to claims, is already transformed in some way by some simple online technologies. Examples being comparison sites, real-time claim servicing, adaptable underwriting. We already have all these. But what has not changed is the way insurers are selling online. Okay, there is a huge gap in creating a transparent and convenient platform. Insurance sometimes still needs an agent to be available to help you to understand the policy. Okay. The second area of impact is in a completely new area that is of pay-per-use models, wearables, you know, connected system, usage-based insurance. All these are all, you know, new models of insurance which are coming to the market, and the customer wants to be involved in all these things. He wants to have a say in what policy he is actually buying from the market. Okay. Now to the second part of the question: how is cloud enabling this transformation as a strategy to enable better engagement? Okay, this is where cloud flexibility is important. This is where AI is important. This is where connectivity or ease of interface is required. You need a cloud strategy to build a life platform, not a life, you need a strategy to build a lifetime platform. I need to have engagement with the customer for his entire lifetime, from the origin of the policy up to his lifetime. So you need to have a platform which can actually track his lifetime events as he goes by. Okay. And you need a cloud strategy to build integrated wellness programs. Okay. You need cloud to provide IoT integrated claims process. So as you said, cloud has moved from infrastructure as a service. Now it has matured more into the platform as a service and SaaS models, right? Cloud native technologies have become more matured now. You can actually rely on cloud for your go-to-market strategy. You can start your initial application, claims customer onboarding using a cloud platform up to your claim settlement. You can do a full end-to-end journey of a customer processing using cloud native technologies. It has become so mature. Self-servicing portals, for example, can be set up quickly if you want to, have a better customer engagement. You have a small affinity group. You need to reach them immediately by having personalized portals. Okay, you can get it up, set up, and running in a matter of days. Okay, so such is the tools available on the cloud. And IRDA recently has come up with the VDA KYC approvals. So all the tools and technologies are matured in the cloud. And so having a cloud strategy in place to have a better customer engagement, I think it is a need of the hour now. Yeah.
Thank you, Shiva. I just, you put up a few very important points. One is experiment fast, means create a small group, do some experiments, and then understand whether we are getting it the proper way or not. So
Yes.
fail fast sort of.
Correct.
So taking that thread, Ashish, from your perspective, how are you looking at this? I mean, what all things you are seeing that can change the way we were doing these things, say a couple of years, 2 years back. So how you're looking at that?
So thanks, Dipankar. Well, as you said, this whole age is the age of figuring out new models, figuring out new ways to service the customer better. And that, as you said, probably leads to a lot of experimentation. And that's where, again, has been the traditional strength of a cloud. You want 5 more servers to run a new program. You can get that on the click of a button instead of waiting a few days or a few weeks for somebody to provision it for you. Similarly, there are many third-party APIs that are cloud native that Shiva talked about, whether it is in the area of machine learning or in area of IoT or whatever experiment you're running. Again, these are native on the cloud, available to you at a click of a few buttons. And I think that's the whole environment that you want to encourage when a developer of yours wants to run an experiment, when a product manager wants to run a small POC. They shouldn't have to go through that whole few-week infrastructural struggle. And as you can imagine, this is natively true also because insurance is a fairly cyclical business. If you're running on the cloud, whoever is running on the cloud knows that on 31st of March, the server and compute requirement is about 5x of what it is on first. Now, how do you really provision 5x without having to pay for it for 365 days? And that's something that can't happen with the cloud. So whether it is basics, which is making your services available for a customer 365 days a year at the optimum level of provisioning, which means that you don't really need servers on the night because there are hardly any customers in the night. If you're running an India-centric business, for example, you don't need too many servers on 1st of April compared to 31st of March. So basics of compute. Going on to experimentation where your developers can boot a server on the fly, going on to third-party collaboration, which is all your, let's say, AI, ML capabilities, your OCRs, your third-party language translators, any other auto cloud mechanisms that you may be using. So it just becomes very digitally, very digitally savvy to take care of all of these nuances if you're on the cloud.
Correct. And really, you brought up is a wide spectrum from the basics, which are basically making the on-demand elasticity of cloud, which is obviously the basic advantage, and at the other end, the agility and the ecosystem of the APIs, which gives us a much flexible customer handling. So on just taking that cue, Tarun, if I ask you how you are innovating with the help of cloud on the products and also on the type of customer engagement, because as we are seeing that the whole length of customer engagement is changing. I mean, from the profiling of customer to the claim settlement of a customer. If you see the whole life cycle, everywhere the innovation is making different disruptions which we didn't even think of. Like now the insurtech companies are just launching one particular product within just few days with the help of cloud and making a complete different thought process of the customers. So how you are looking at as a large organization from Edelweiss, the innovations, I mean, what all the use cases you are looking at it?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me and great to be part of this panel. So you are right, Dipankar, innovation is happening across, and I see innovation happening not just at the product level, as you rightly said, but also at the process and business model aspects as well. And some of the points which Shiva and Ashish also brought up, that companies are not competing with each other these days. I mean, it's like companies are competing with customer experience across industry. Right? It has become a vital differentiator. Right? And if you don't have the right product and the right message and the right flexibility, it's a wasted opportunity, I would say. So we at Edelweiss, I think we have we've constantly been sensing the market, and we recently launched a product which was on the pay as you drive on an on-demand theme, where you could switch on and off your policy as and when you're using your vehicle. And
Yes.
it became really popular in these COVID times, when your cars are in the garages and you're not driving, via no need of paying that, etc. But to that point, before we arrive at the product, there is a huge insight driven approach which goes into building such product constructs. And this also leans in the whole changing insurance industry, where we are moving away from a product centric to a more experience centric, right, environment. And earlier all this was not possible because we didn't have technologies to process and mine such enormous volumes of data. But obviously with cloud and other technologies, it has become much easier. You have social media data, you have, as you said, IoT data, connected devices, wearables, weather data, third-party data, so much of sources available. So I think a couple of areas where we have done is to constantly look at these trends and come out with products in these category, be it subscription, be it on demand, etc. And secondly, internally, we are, we have structured ourselves to be a platform, and so that we can be much more integrated with the ecosystem, much more, create a much more generic product structure so that we can innovate much faster. And similarly, also look at the trends of AI, ML, and enhancing efficiency of a process.
I take up a very good point here, which you are telling, that integration with your base system. So it's not standalone cloud usage, but understanding your customer, integrate your backend with the front end, and innovate and renovate the full front office, back office, mid office system. But saying so, this is also gathering a huge amount of personal data, which we had a few years back. There are lots of regulations which are coming on the personal data, putting those into cloud. So if I focus on that part, because that's the other part which you really need to focus on, is the security and data privacy on cloud. Puneet, if I ask you from your perspective, in your journey to the cloud, how you are looking at those and how you are trying to overcome those challenges, or making things safer, better for everyone, and still innovate and use that cloud. So what is your thought process on that?
So first of all, good afternoon to all my co-panelists, and thank you, Dipankar, for this opportunity. So definitely, the cloud journey, there was a myth earlier that the moment we move on the cloud, especially in the financial services space, that hosting your customer data on the cloud, whether it will be vulnerable, the security breaches can happen, it has all vulnerabilities to the data laws, data breaches can happen. Then the new stage came where, the data localization and the law against that came in practice, so that the customer data cannot be hosted outside the, outside the localized country. So it has to be very much within the premises of the country. The mindset changed. And now with this, all the, the new normal, what we talk about, the pandemic situations, we see that a lot of, the things which were a thing of the past is now what is the revenue generator for an organization or the enterprises, whether be it a customer centricity approach or a product centricity approach, the complete mindset or the myths have been changing. The customer, when you talk about a customer, where the customer has his cross-sell, upsell. So cloud is the time is where, one is, on the fly, the product readiness in terms of 24 to 48 hours, which was a thought process. Now it is the agility has to be so much, saying that, when you say that the go to the market is only possible through cloud. If we still go with the, the traditional way of hosting a product, I think so that would not anymore work, because then you lose the show. The approach is that how forward centering are we? What is the new demand that the customers want? Personalization, which is the personalization 5.0, is all talking about digital spaces. The physical spaces will be totally digitized. You can say that, you can say the physical branches are replaced with the video branches now, right? Online branches. People are looking forward for having a personalized relationship managers through video calling, Teams. Collaborative tools are, making sense to people. Who would have thought that even from any rural spaces also, one fine morning we'll conduct our huddles and all these things is because of pandemic. Otherwise, earlier in video conferencing, we had to schedule a video conference, like we get the availability 3 to 4, 5 to 6 and all that stuff. A special, Microsoft calendar schedule was given and, everybody had to come on one multi-bridge kind of a concept and this thing. So all those traditional approaches are the new game changers now. So flexibility of working from anywhere, that is something which, cloud is providing you, right? Customer physical spaces, digitized. When you say that, AI is something data structuring where, you will have to build up an ecosystem or a customer development platform where, the platforms will talk about, ensuring the analytics space, like what are the behavioral patterns of your customers? What is geofencing? Probably geofencing, geotagging, geolocalization, all these things is something where, the digitization will play a very big role. That platforms should have all this AI enabled or collaborative technology or the emerging technologies as a new factor. I just talk about, recently there is a very big cosmetic company. They launched a beautiful platform under this pandemic times, to understand what is the demand of the customer. So they wanted to analyze, the customer skin tone of a customer. And then what this through augmented virtual reality, smart algorithms, what were his behavioral patterns, what is the, what is his customer propensity basically on the, on his platform. All these analytics backgrounds gave them an enablement that we need to have a retention with us so that, we might not lose our customer. So that is something which is enabling innovations everyday basis, and something which is at the back end is something artificial intelligence linked, scorecards, smart algorithms, or you can say that when you run these, the rule engines, which gives you a total output or a result oriented approach, it gives you a decision making or decision making engines to see that how the customer's engagement has to come in. So from an onboarding to servicing of a customer, it is something which is talking about a total CRM in place. It was not the traditional CRM. It is more of a total social CRM integration, complete. Where exactly he goes, whether, because people are in-house now, but still if they have a habitual of online patterns, they're ordering online, what are they eating, what are they doing, all these things will enable a new way of customer engagement altogether. And third but not the least is the empathy will scale. Empathy is a trust in the brand, basically. And that can only happen, earlier it was only through physical spaces. But now when you say the brand of a customer is there, these digitalizations and personalization through digital concept will only enable a customer to retain and have a conversational, you can say, enablement with them. Apart from that, the brand should also build up an ecosystem, which will talk about 360-degree of a digital space, physical space, and an amalgamation or a convergence of all these things. What is the new way? So that is what is personalization 5.0 talks about.
I agree. I mean, frankly, the way you put this up is quite elaborative. And if we take 3 pointers from you, one is the digital space, physical space, and amalgamation of that to make a 360-degree viewpoint of the customer. Second is a personalization, super personalization with this all data having with us. And third, cloud is really not a place where it is easy to breach data. Rather it has a much better security than an on-prem or other situations, or maybe at par. So if you really look into these 3, I have a point. Let me focus to Mr. Ashish Gupta. Ashish, if you really look at this, the super personalization, that's basically coming up as a trend. And if you see this whole CRM perspective, the touch points, the physical touch points are going off, but still we need to do a personalization. So, we are bringing in chatbots, video conferencing, low touch, no touch, video KYC. How you are seeing that coming up as an use cases for cloud, and what all things you are using? I mean, how those are being leveraged to make this thing happen and having a better customer interaction.
Absolutely. I think, look, NPS, CSAT, it used to be CSAT, it became NPS. That's how the journey evolved. But if you talk about the last 4-5 months, I think the new term that has come up is no touch. I think all of us have no touch KRAs. What percentage of our project, our processes are no touch, what percentage of our policies are issued no touch. And I think that's become not only a big buzzword now, but also part of our key inline KRAs. So in that sense, everything that could happen is actually happening. So whether it is what will sound fairly intuitive, but is actually fairly complex. All of us run multiple systems. I'm guessing each one of us has more than 30 to 50 applications that reside, and they don't often talk seamlessly to each other, which is okay, because in January, one developer of one team used to turn his feet around and say, hey, just patch this data in, and that used to happen. Now getting a meeting with a guy who used to, or girl who used to sit behind you, probably takes 24 hours because all our calendars are full. So you've got to really, I think there's been pressure on us to make the data seamless. And that comes in well with your 360-degree view of the customer. You can no longer, the service guy can no longer turn and say, ask the sales guy, hey, you sold this policy, what did you commit to the customer? All of those notes, all of those applications have to be there. So some of the things that we're building are actually a new CRM, which greatly enhances this one point view, 360-degree view of a customer, and then not only provides it to our agents to be able to handle the customer better, support the customer better, but also automate communications, automate triggers, and actually automate processes to the customer, from simple things like, I want my policy, what is the policy status? Now really an agent doesn't add too much value, or I want a soft copy of my policy. Building bots, building interfaces that actually just automate all of that, leaving only the complex part to the human being, now has actually become a must do. And I think that's where the whole 360-degree view of the customer, the whole automation of communication, and then building any layers of intelligence on top of it is really helping out.
Thank you, Ashish. And you, one thing which I am really seeing, that the competition is not amongst the insurers, it's not competition amongst the whole industry altogether, because the digital shaping up, the customers look and feel, or the customer's wish list doesn't come from insurance. It comes from the probably Swiggy or probably from Amazon. I need one click. So taking that into queue, if I go back to Shiva, what you are thinking of, making the platform easier, or looking at the things in a complete different manner? I mean, not really like, getting things as insurance was doing. I mean, that is what I think is the most change we are currently perceiving and we are sustaining. So what are the use cases you are looking at those things?
Yeah, so it's very interesting here. Supposing if you go and buy a mobile phone, right? So if you download an application, it doesn't come up with any user manual. How do you operate this application? How do you go about using those icons over there? It's so intuitive. It's so intuitive. As and when you log in, you know what to do. Your finger goes directly to a point. You start working on it, and then you start getting this feel. So the personalization and then the kind of a UI user experience what we are talking now, it's so demanding that we already have a standard in place. We have to beat that standard. Okay, the millennials are so used to the way that things are, their mind thinks something, the application is designed in that way. So insurance, if that same person is actually going to buy an insurance, he looks for certain things. Okay, he looks for, okay, tell me about this benefit. You cannot have some 50 lines of rambling text over there to explain to you about this benefit. So he needs to get those concepts of why I need this benefit, how it is going to be useful for me. Should I buy it on a daily basis? Should I buy it on a per year basis? So So such kind of information to be provided to this kind of a tech savvy customer is really challenging. I would say to bringing that kind of user experience is really challenging. So technology people and then this product managers need to sit together, run through the customer experience, do an A/B testing, try to figure out what kind of processes are actually bringing in more people. So it's a real real challenge for this kind of insurance industry now.
I understand and you brought up the millennial point. I mean, that's what I was trying to hear, and that actually changing, the way, see, it's almost like everything like an Amazonish, means you have some recommendation with you, you have some what is better for you, you do complete parallel cross sell. I mean, nobody even think about that. If you buy a wall hung, with that you will buy a photograph. I see those. So I really want to go back to Tarun. Tarun, seeing this, how you are thinking of a cross sell, upsell recommendation engine, 360 view of a millennial. What all things we can do, and how fast we can build and disrupt the whole industry? What is your viewpoint on that?
No, you are absolutely right, Dipankar. And, customers are applying their experiences across industry, and we are seeing that particularly online retail to insurance. The question is that, can I buy a policy in the same time as I order a pizza?
Correct.
So, so that's how it is becoming. And you're right. This requires, while we are talking about recommendation engines and other capabilities, I think first thing which we feel is we'll have to segment the customers differently now. Rather than the old traditional ways, we have to segment the customers based on their behaviors, right? That's psychographic attributes. What are the, as you said, the millennials. Now, I think millennial is not just an age group. It is, it's a certain set of associations or attributes which anybody can depict, right? From a 20-year-old to a 60-year-old. Now, what do you and how do you tap into that if that's your target segment, right? So you'll have to segment data. You'll have to have data streams of alternate data to build a profile for him, right? You'll have to look at his expressed interest. You'll have to look at his online behavior, search logs, whatever. I mean, whatever is possible in the domain of regulatory data usage, etc. And you'll have to, really come up with specialized offer. So you have to, as I was trying to say in my earlier section, that we have to become the choice architect for him, right? You'll have to really help him make the right choices. If you're not giving a specialized offer, so the expectation and demand is hyper personalization. It's no more, that, okay, if you do it, it's okay. It's the expectation now. And as you said that and as we're seeing, the evolving trend is that insurance will be woven into the lifestyles of people, right? Insurance will become embedded in the lifestyle of people. If that is the case, then we really need to have, we'll have to literally weave it into the digital journeys, which he is already familiar with. So I think, and obviously that would require, ingesting and analyzing and mining that data, and those capabilities are available. But I feel that, one should look at the business outcome and then work back at the data and see, what and how it is to be done. So, as these new trends pick up, as these on-demand, subscription-based, as a service sort of models emerge, we'll all have to, really build those capabilities.
Think differently, and that basically takes me to the end of this interesting session. I mean, it was really interesting. We are really seeing the benefits of cloud. We are seeing that the changing pattern of customer interaction, but it is not very easy to really do that. So I will ask everyone in this panel one-liner from you to our viewers. that how they can leverage the full potential of cloud computing and take this engagement to the next level. So just a small answer how we have looked at it, what all things we have done, and what are the pitfalls or advantages. Over to you, Shiva.
Okay, so I can explain about one of the customer engagements which we had. Okay, so they had a particular affinity group customer whom they want to target on a particular time of the year. Okay, they know that this customer, when I target at this time, I'm going to get more policies. But going back to the core system which is already built, and then it takes a very long time for them to make some changes and go to market. So they wanted to use these cloud technology, just try to connect using the APIs available to their core system, and then they wanted to bring up with a web portal wherein you only project certain components of your core system, wherein the customer can just immediately log in and then quickly buy policies, and then they can then take over. So if you want to have a quick turnaround of a targeted customer segment, which you want to achieve a quick win solution, we should definitely keep cloud as the #1 priority for you to take around. Yeah.
Thank you, Shiva. I will now ask Puneet to tell us about our point of view on this.
I think so. We should be leveraging cloud, especially in digitizing the personalized journeys from end to end now. Which is, I fully agree with Tarun that we will have to weave in insurance at every level. So I think so. What come what may, it is end to end personalized journeys, whether it is through insurance, and cloud would be the best fit for that.
I will now go to Ashish. Ashish, what will be your last lines on this?
Yeah, my last line would be cloud represents obviously an opportunity. We've talked about the infrastructure, third-party software. I think it's a big opportunity to change our mindset and actually mature. Far too long, insurance as an industry has believed that we are very good at what we do and we don't need anybody else's support, and we build everything on our own and we will secure it and we'll not let anybody steal it. I think the world's changed. As has been rightly pointed out, the benchmarks on customer service are actually not being set by insurance industry. It's actually being set by e-commerce or food e-commerce, or all of these guys. And I think it's high time the industry catches up. And I think cloud is a unique opportunity to take that as an option with humility, saying that there are people who are far better than us at a lot of things. We may be good at actuarial science, but on pretty much everything else, there are industries that are a million miles ahead of us. And the sooner we can use some of these infrastructures to catch up with them, I think we'll be a better industry.
Tarun, over to you. What is your viewpoint?
Yeah, no, I completely concur with Ashish. It's a great opportunity, and he rightly shared that insurance is no more the how do I put it, the sleepy backwaters, of the financial world. Things are changing pretty fast. The customer expectations are changing, and as we all heard that they are applying the experiences from other industry to this. So besides providing agility, computational power, scalability, which are the usual advantages of cloud, I think the way to approach it would be to really look at the business, also the business cases, the outcome expected, the how are you organized? Are you? I always see that this is a change management process, right? And besides the technology adoption, also look at the other aspects of how is the organization adapting to the influence or the power which cloud is offering
Provide
to the organization.
I agree. I frankly, it's a very interesting discussion we had, and we have gone through from the basics of cloud to the agility of cloud. And you brought in a very important point, which is it's not only the technology, but also business processes at the back end should also align with that. I mean, frankly, a few years back, we used to talk IT should align with the business strategy. Now what is happening? Business strategy should align with the digital. So that's the way how it is moving. And insurance is obviously very, very important for everybody, and it has a long journey with customers. So the viewpoint of insurance and the customer should meet somewhere with a real digital interface. And that interface we should build to make things easier, useful, and customers should get a complete viewpoint of the insurance from on a click. I mean, it is not that you have to run through a rummage of papers to understand what is happening. So I'm sure we'll have a much more better use cases of clouds in the coming future, and we'll have a fantastic customer journey for the insurance. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your participation.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Thank you very much.